Good morning, grade 5. I hope you woke up and you're feeling good and you're ready for today's lesson. So, let's get started. So, here I have some pictures of Legos, and specifically, this is Lego houses, right? So, we know that when we build a Lego house, I'm not sure if any of you have tried building a Lego house before, but there are many different pieces and different colors that all have to fit into each other a certain way so that they can build something, right? So there's a whole process needed to build this house. So yesterday's lesson we did reports, right? And I read through a report with you in your textbook. So the reason why I'm showing you the pictures of the Legos is to use it as an example of how building this Lego house is a process, and you need to plan it, and you need to put all the specific pieces together so that you can create one beautiful house. So just like a report, we have to have all the specific pieces and process in order for us to create a beautiful report. So yesterday I've read this report on page 74 in your textbooks, and I showed you all the headings you need to have. Also, how we always have our five W's, which is who, what, when, where, and why. Those questions that are always in our report. So today we are going to do reports again, but we're just going to go in more detail and just explain everything more thoroughly. Okay, so before we write a report, it's very, very important for us to look at these 5 steps, because we need to follow these steps in order to create a nice report that has structure, right? So, number one, we always need to have a main heading, right? So, whatever topic you're writing about, you always need to have a main heading so that whoever is reading your report knows exactly what the report is about. Then, secondly, we have subheadings for the paragraphs. So, you'll have your main heading and then you'll have a subheading and your paragraph, right? So, our subheadings helps us um, distinguish the beginning of our report, right? So it's basically like our introduction to our report. Then, thirdly, we always have a beginning, a middle, and an ending, right? So usually you could say introduction, a body, and a conclusion, right? Number four, we always have a graph or a table that supports the information you include in your report. Right? So when you write a report, you're writing about a specific topic and you need to do research about that topic. And whatever information or research you collect and include in your report, you also need to put in a table or a graph. And then lastly, number five, remember to always answer what, when, where, and who questions, right? So this is the 5 steps we always have to do before we write a report, and to keep in mind before we write a report. Also, you can see on the top right of the slide, I wrote copy slide. So remember, the slide needs to be copied in your book. Okay, so once we laid down what we need to do before we write, now we get to the process where we need to start writing our report. So once again, we have another 5 steps. So number one, gather information about your topic. So do some research. It's very important to get research and get information about the topic you're writing about, so that you don't actually just write a whole lot of nonsense. So there's actually facts that are in your report. And then number 2, plan what you are going to say. Remember, whenever we do writing, we always do planning. So you can do a mind map. Um, you all know how to do a mind map. We have it could be a little bubble or a block, and then it has arrows that goes out. So in the middle you write your topic or your main idea, and then whatever you want to write in your report you add in your mind map, right? So that's your planning. Then thirdly, you write your first draft. So this is your rough draft, right? Before we write anything, we always do planning, and then we always do a rough draft. So we can write down all our ideas and everything we are thinking about writing in our report, and then we continue after that. So number 4, edit and proofread your report. Check for spelling mistakes, grammar, and check if your punctuation is correct. Use pronouns and linking words in your sentences. So like I said, we'd always do our rough draft first. And once you did your rough draft, you take your pencil and you can ask someone in your household, or you can do it yourself, and you read through your rough draft, and then you check if you made a spelling mistake, if you maybe forgot to add a comma or a full stop, and then that way you edit your draft to make it perfect, right? And once you're done editing, you read through your whole draft again and see that it makes sense and it sounds right, and that you have your headings and you have all your subheadings, and you have your middle, your beginning, your end, everything is in your rough draft. Then lastly, this is when you write your report out neatly. So that's your final draft. So once you've done all the steps, your last step is to then do your final draft. So this is the part where you have your report that has everything in it. You checked it and it's perfect, right? So those 5 steps are part of your writing process. So like I said in the beginning of the lesson, I showed you the pictures of the Lego houses. So those Lego houses are the end result. That would be, if you could say, the final draft, right? All the pieces are fitted in perfectly. All the Legos are where they need to be, because there was planning and because they followed the right steps. Okay, so for homework, which I actually gave you yesterday already, you had to choose one of the following topics. Number 1, school projects that help the environment. Or number 2, what can we do at home to help the environment? So like I said in yesterday's lesson, you need to pick one of these topics to write a report about. And then remember, follow the 5 steps we just discussed and write a report. So for homework, you write the heading, date, page number, and draw a line. Firstly, you will copy the slides in your book. So the slides of today you copy in your book, and you write your report about one of the topics. It's fine if you started on your report already, because I did give it to you for homework yesterday. But just make sure that you do copy the slides of today in your book. So then you write your report about one of the topics on page 75. It must be completed in your English workbook. And the homework due date would be the 28th of April. And it must be sent in the English period, right? So your homework is only due for next week, Tuesday. So you have today and you have the weekend and Monday to complete your report. So I'm hoping to see some very interesting reports and interesting ways how we can help the environment in your reports. So yes, that's all for today's lesson. I hope you enjoy. your weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye.